there was this graph one. Okay, let me see if I have like a graph related tips. So we have this checklist, and okay, scale markings. This should help you all. So let's look at this one, right? Firstly, the title is actually optional. You don't have to write that in unless the question asks you write a title. And the arrow, right? We always put the arrow at the end of the graph. And yeah, so see this arrow you drew here? Let's have it at the end. And then so that this label can be completely out of the grid so that it won't get blocked by the grid. And let's see. Actually, right, if I were you, I would draw the curve a bit more narrow. But that might not really be possible, huh? Because it will look very weird at the top. Yeah, I think we can draw the curve more narrow so that we can cut through this point and this point also. Yeah, and the curve doesn't need to be that nice. Even freehand, as long as it's not ugly or like messy, it's clean, you can still score full marks even with freehand. I've seen a lot of students done it, and I've done it myself. So yeah, just don't waste too much time on the graph. Okay, then we're here now. This is pretty strict. Like I would have given this 2 marks, but it looks like the answer key that they want 2 points. So point number 1, it will increase, and why does it increase? Point number 2, when it's no longer limiting factor. Okay, if it was like 4 marks, then I will add this extra part. Okay, so this is my opinion, but looks like their answer key was very strict. Okay, then we have this stomata question. Yeah, I just saw something. You see here, right? Stoma is closed, stoma. So stoma is singular, stomata is plural. And plants, pretty sure they have more than one stomata, right? They have many. So we should have written stomata is open or closed. Okay, that's just a small thing. And now here, right? Okay, you know what's the weird phrasing you could have said? The gut cells need to be turgid. Okay, that would have solved the problem. Gut cells need to be turgid. Yeah, then you already have it here. So actually you don't need to write this. The cells have gut cells need to be filled with water. If you say it's turgid, it's understood already. So, and since the question is about a shortage of water, right, the gut cells will become flaccid. So you are actually talking about you're saying it in the positive, right? It needs to be turgid in order to work. But what's happening, the question is in the negative. So also go along with the phrasing of the question. So go along with the negative. I would say that the gut cells would become flaccid, and that will cause them to close the stomata. See, that is now in the negative. We are going along with the direction of the question. That would be much better. Okay, now this question, and this is a CAQ of non-cyclic energy flow. Let me find if I can have a similar one. Okay, so you see here this is how energy is lost, and it's answering the question of why it's non-cyclic. So energy loss as heat, yeah, that was an important point, though I felt like the teacher was very strict to -2 marks, because you see both times, in both points you missed out heat, and that's why looks like they didn't award you either of them, which I feel is very strict. They should just -1 mark, okay, because it was the same mistake across both points. So that's the issue. Actually, I feel like you should have gotten 2 marks. Okay, how to improve this more, right? So you say energy is lost due to cellular respiration, and some are trapped in uneaten parts as carbon compounds. Okay, or in the carbon compounds, right? Because you see here, trapped in the carbon compounds for the uneaten parts. Okay, see here, for the uneaten parts. And you didn't say this point of the excreted substances or ingested substances, which is okay. That was not necessary, though if it's me, I'll be kiasu, so I will write about the excreted substances. Okay, like urine, I will write that. And the last thing is we need to talk about how it doesn't return back within the system. It's lost to the environment and it never comes back. And so energy needs to be reintroduced or added into the system from the sun. Yeah, so see this part here, cannot be reused, and is linear. That's actually a good keyword for this question. Like it goes in this chain, this direction, right? Then it doesn't go back in a circle anymore. So you say here does not return to the organisms which produce it. That's a weird phrasing because the energy cannot be produced. It cannot be created. It can only be converted, right? This is physics. So energy from the sun goes to the grass and is converted to chemical energy. So the producers, yes, they produce food for the rest, but in terms of energy, they don't really produce energy. No one here produces energy, right? They just pass along the energy, convert it, and then pass it along. So I wouldn't phrase it like that. I'll say that the heat energy is lost and cannot be reused, right? That's a good word to use. It cannot be reused by the organisms anymore. It does not re-enter the food chain. It does not re-enter the food chain. Yeah, that's a good phrasing. Okay, and so therefore it's linear and non-cyclical. Yeah, that would be nice. Or a better way of phrasing things. Okay, then here, why are hours likely to be the final trophic level in this food chain? Okay, then based on the information in the figure. Yeah, there's only 16. So I say there's only 16 kJ per meter square per year for the entire population of owls. I'll use, because it's based on the information, right? So that would be actually using the information. Okay, then that is too low. So even if there's a predator above it, let's go and find there is one question like that in our CAQs. So this is what we could say. There will be too few organisms, that means too few owls, to transfer sufficient energy to whoever predates on the owls. And that's why there's likely no predators of the owls. Okay, so to sustain another trophic level, let's see, will be too low. Yeah, so that's why the point was incomplete here, because pass on to the next trophy level be too low. But like, how does that link to there being no predator of the owls? So that link was missing, right? It's too low, like, but it lacks explanation. You know, so you should say it's too low to transfer or to give sufficient energy for any predator of owls. Okay. Yeah, then here this question, right? So this was where he lost a lot of marks. And this is the NASA explanation, right? This is the eutrophication. But you see, eutrophication is when nutrients get and enter the system. So nutrients, and the nutrients are nitrates and phosphates. Okay, where would we find this is in two different question types. Okay, one is they will say fertilizers will wash into the lake or the river or whatever the water is. Fertilizers, because fertilizers for plants, right, have nitrates and phosphates to help the plants grow well. And the other one is sewage. So human sewage, there's a village nearby or a city, and then they throw the sewage into the body of water. Sewage has nitrates and phosphates also. So if it's one of these two, then you are correct to say this. But they said insecticides. Insecticides, not. So insecticides are just a specific chemical that is toxic to insects. It could be toxic to more things other than insects, but yeah, it's a toxic one chemical. Whereas these nitrates and phosphates, right, are two different types of chemicals, and within each type there's like many different forms of nitrates, many different forms of phosphates. So you see why they're not the same thing? So that's why when insecticides entered, we shouldn't write this explanation. So I can see why you misinterpreted the question, because you're probably thinking, oh, maybe this has nitrates and phosphates, right? Yeah, it doesn't have, okay? So that's why if now knowing this, and they tell you this, then the only thing that they could possibly be asking is, well, this one. You see, insecticide, DDT, is actually an insecticide, and you do know that, it's a common example of biomagnification. So yeah, that is actually what they're getting at. So we always ask ourselves, what's the focus of the question? What is the intention of the setter? So here we misinterpreted the intention, right? Of like, they're asking this one. But now that you know insecticides, they don't have nitrates and phosphates. So when we try and predict what's the intention, then the logical conclusion is this question type. This is what they're after. So yeah, you just give this one, okay? And I just want to show something. Each eats many of the previous level below. So large amounts of them, of the insecticide, will enter and accumulate in their bodies. Biomagnification happens. So here, right, in the corrections, the corrections are all fine. I mean, this is the answer key, right? I would see here. This one could be much improved in phrasing. So use my highlighter, you see here, do this for the phrasing. It actually explains things, because this one doesn't explain why it has this like multiplication of concentration up the trophic levels. It doesn't explain. But this one actually explains, because you say one eats many, so that makes sense. That's why a lot of many organisms worth of the toxin, the insecticide, goes into one predator. So I will highly recommend my phrasing here. Yeah. Hey guys, so if that was helpful for you, then subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to join our O-level pure bio tuition classes, then click the link below or go to ThatBioTutor.com.